pads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Ray. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremo.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day of not going to Duncan, and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
Welcome to BGFG episode 487. I'm your host, Chris Phoenix, and joining me, as always, my brother from another mother, Mr. Free Mosey. How are you doing this week, sir?
It's a sad week.
Why is it a sad week?
We're about to get into that.
Oh, yes. Yep, another week. A couple of announcements came out. We're going to be talking about those. In finishing up the show this morning, actually kind of wrapping it all up. I didn't realize how many stories we were doing of Elon this week. Like, Elon's involved in almost every single story, in one way or another.
Okay, I'll be interested to see how you tie that into the CISM.
That's not right.
You said every show, every story.
Well, he's got like 50. Well, you know what? I'm not going to. All right, let's get into what we need to do, which is talk about who's not coming down for breakfast, which is something that we do when a beloved celebrity passes away. We throw them a ticket and a towel because you need a towel.
Doesn't have to be
a person of note. Yeah, person of note. Unfortunately, we did lose Val Kilmer at 65 years young from complications from pneumonia. And it's just it's sad to see, because when you don't really think about it. He's one of those people that you don't really think about regularly, but you see him way often.
I quote the dude all the time.
Right. Well, yeah. There's so many things. Like he started his career in Top Secret, which is on our list of movies you must have. His Top Secret is the ultimate in gag movies.
One of the best gags that's ever been in a movie. Ever.
Okay, which one? Because I have one.
Forget the underwater bar fight, which is absolutely hysterical. Okay,
yep.
The Old West Saloon bar fight
yeah.
underwater. That's just pure genius. That's comedy gold.
Yeah.
When they're walking,
they're
trying to sneak up on the base.
Yeah.
And there's the loud crunching, shushing sound because they're in a bunch of leaves. And he stops and he turns around and he goes. And they immediately pan back out, and they all keep walking the way they were walking, but then there's no sound.
It's like they cut out the
That's
sound.
just brilliant. It's just like,
dude,
what just happened here?
For me, there's two from that movie. It's the sight gag, which is the one with the what the hell? Magnifying glass on the eye. Then he moves the magnifying glass, and his eye is still that big. And the one with the phone. The phone looks like it's off in the distance, and he picks it up. It's a giant phone. But my favorite one from that movie is the when they were walking down the street and the guy stops. It didn't even involve Val Kilmer. The guy stops. He goes, "Excuse me, sir. You've dropped your fake dog poo." And he picks it up. And the guy looks back and goes, "I don't have any fake dog poo." It just thought that was a brilliant piece. But that was his first movie. That was Val Kilmer's first movie. And then right from there, he went to Real Genius, which, again, for Gen Xers, Real Genius was it. It was like, I'm going to college for that reason right there.
Yep.
Then it was off to the races for him. He was in Willow. He was in The Doors. He was in The Saint, Top Gun, Batman, Tombstone, Heat, The Island of Dr. Moreau, Red Planet. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. The Doors. The story that you hear about The Doors when he was playing in The Doors, he really got into the Jim Morrison character, so much so that he was wearing Jim Morrison's leather pants throughout most of that movie.
Yeah.
He just lived the part, and he sang a few of the songs too, which is what our song's going to be this week, is a Doors song. And the list goes on. And all I can say is here's a ticket and towel for our Huckleberry. All right, let's get on with this week's news.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
Yeah, I mean, go binge watch a bunch of Val Kilmer movies. All right, so first question up today in today's news is, what the fuck is Elon doing at this point? Like,
What do you mean, what is he doing? This is genius.
I don't, maybe I just don't get it. I mean, I understand it, but I can't believe it's allowed.
How much, what do you mean it can't be allowed?
Well, don't you think, again, let's explain to the people what we're talking about. Elon announced.
Company A, Company B. Company A says, I want to buy Company B. Company B says, okay, for how much? Company A gives a price. Company B accepts. Boom. Bought. He just happens to own both companies.
Well, we'll get into that in a second. Elon announced this week on X, of course, that his company XAI, which is in competition with ChatGPT and all the other AI companies, XAI purchased X in an all-stock transaction. So there's no money actually traded. This combination values XAI at $80 billion and X at $33 billion. He said, today, and I quote, today we officially take the step to combine the data, models, compute, distribution, and talent. End quote. Technically, they have already been intertwined. Technically. And even, so I guess, so there's a lot to uncover here, though. Because like XAI's supercomputer in Memphis is powered by natural gas turbines, which worries the people in Memphis.
Let's look at the broader scope.
Let's. Because all this, to me, all this seems to be a way from.
First of all, everybody thought he was an idiot for buying X for what he paid for it. And
$44 billion.
Its value dropped a little bit because of the negative media, right? Which happens with everything. It's happening with Tesla right now. The dude's just securing his assets. He had investors that helped him get X. They're probably not happy. Here's a way to get them off his back. Here, now you have stock in XAI, which is valued at even more than Twitter was.
But
this is just a way for him to keep his valuation where he wants it, which is high.
Well, yeah, XAI is valued at $80 billion and it's climbing.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, the X purchase becomes a wash. But what I'm saying is that, like, when you see people, like, businesses, when they're afraid of losing everything and losing money, they immediately cop out and claim bankruptcy. Has to be shown, has to be going through, courts and things like that to be approved for that bankruptcy.
He's not doing that. He just totally made X, formerly known as Twitter, because people still do that years later. He just made X totally solvent again.
Well, I get that, but isn't there something like you frown upon the businesses that claim bankruptcy, and there's laws in effect that they have to go through certain things? Is this no different? No, but isn't this the same thing? You're taking your loss with Twitter.
Like your HOA president coming over and telling you, no, you can't take those two cars in your garage and make one out of them.
Okay, I see your point. I don't agree with it. It's
a sin. It's a sin to take a Ford Thunderbird and cross it with a Camaro. You can't do that. One's a Ford, one's a Chevy.
Well, yes, that's true.
I'm doing what I want. They're my cars.
Okay, so again, even if it's not illegal to do, don't you think it's hard for me to sit here and because the more I talk about this counterpoint, the more I'm kind of see
Elon. I love it.
I'm just starting to see.
You do. You're an Elon hater.
I might be a little bit of an Elon hater.
You're a closet Elon hater. I love it.
Look, I appreciate what the guy's done and contributed. There's just some things he does that just don't make any sense. This makes business sense.
That dude thinks on a level of existence that you and I will probably never attain.
I just think this is, look, I understand what he did business-wise. I'm just curious if it's legal. Because I don't know that much about this.
It's legal.
Well, okay. All right.
If he owns a controlling interest of X, right? Like
Right.
he owns the majority.
Yep.
So let's take a vote.
No, I get it. I understand.
All in favor?
You took the value and
Aye.
the money that you lost, you basically pumped in XAI money into Twitter to make it look profitable, to pay the investors, blah, blah. I get that. And now it's a combined company. I understand that too. I get that. I think we're skating on a thin edge because now you're going to give XAI even more legitimate access, I guess, to X. We've talked at length about how AI scraping social media is not a good idea.
It's not a good idea depending on what you're doing with the data. Based on his very, very public condemnation at the speed that AI is progressing and the fact that there needs to be better checks and balances on it, I
Yeah.
think this is a good thing. I hope that Grok becomes the dominant AI because he is as scared of Skynet as you and I are.
Okay, that's fair too. Because right now, OpenAI,
And I
last
love the
time,
fact that he named it Grok.
why?
He's obviously a very well read sci-fi person. Grok is originally from Stranger in a Strange Land,
Okay.
a 1961 novel.
All right.
And it's basically, I mean, obviously it's an invented word, and the premise behind it is to gain understanding,
Okay. All right.
which I think is brilliant because you know my personal email address,
Yes, I do.
which is two words from Old Norse meaning grow your mind, gain
Yeah.
knowledge, basically a loose translation. Same thing, grok.
So
Love it.
so again, I understand what he
I
did.
retract my earlier statement about you and I not both reaching a level of understanding.
Uh-huh.
You won't. I
Yeah.
might.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That didn't take long, did it?
No, I had to get one in early. Cheer myself up after the whole Val Kilmer thing.
So the reason why I was talking about this, I think it is smart business sense. I'm just wondering if there was any oversight or any hoops he had to jump through to get this done.
Well,
Be
yeah, I
part,
mean,
but no, no, no,
it's a
wait.
X is a publicly traded company, right? So
Yeah,
there would have had to have been all of the filings with the SEC and, like I said, shareholder vote, blah, blah, blah. But when he owns a majority interest, it's not like, I mean, everybody else could go, no, we don't want to do this. And it doesn't matter because he owns a majority of the stock.
well, you're missing the end of what I'm trying to say here. Is that it's I'm just saying that maybe it's because he might be part of the administration that this might have gone through a little quicker and a little smoother.
No, I doubt that.
You don't think so? Because I don't know if you've noticed the way the current administration is doing things lately. Like they're really kind of they're playing like wiffle ball in the backyard with a tennis ball. Like they're just I mean, look at what happened with the National Security Council. The National Security Council just willy-nilly, apparently, the advisor Mike Waltz has been using Gmail for government business for a while now. Not the most secure thing in the world. The federal government has their own secure email, but they
I mean, I
decided,
don't think anyone has ever accused politicians of being the sharpest knife in the drawer.
oh no, there's regulations that require certain government communications to be
Yeah,
archived,
but
but you can't archive
here's my
Gmail.
point. Here's my point. This is someone who I am very sure I'd have to go back and see if I could find proof of it, but I'm very sure that he would have been very vocal about the whole email shenanigans with Hillary Clinton back in the day,
But yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you think these people would learn,
No,
right?
no, no,
That's
no,
what
not
I'm
at all.
saying. They're not the sharpest knives in the drawer. I mean, it's like they literally have a sense of we're above everyone else. We can do what we want to do. All of them. I don't care which side of the aisle you're talking about.
Correct.
This is an apolitical statement. This is not against Democrats. This is not against Republicans. This is against politicians as a ruling class in this country. They continue over and over again to demonstrate that they don't care about the rules. They don't have to live by them, or at least that's what they think.
That's true. My bigger
So
argument,
this dude, he needs to be gone.
yeah,
Get somebody else that actually takes security serious because this guy don't.
Well, that's the thing is, and we're going to get into this at the end of the show today, is that a lot of these people that are in Congress or political people, a lot of these people don't understand technology in any way, so they just think it's okay to do pretty much whatever they want, from using Gmail to transpond your
But
politics.
nobody knows I have this Gmail. It doesn't matter whether they know you have it or not.
But
It can be easily hacked.
this follows last week's high-ranking national security leaders using Signal, which is supposed to be end-to-end encrypted, discussing plans of military actions in Yemen. And then they added a reporter from The Atlantic. And of course, being a reporter, the reporter's like, well, I ain't going to say nothing. I'm just going to sit right here. These asshats are talking about dropping bombs and using emojis in Signal about Yemen.
I get it. They literally, like I said, they are so far removed from reality,
yeah,
from
yes,
the real world, through the
yes.
struggles of the average person. They really view themselves as an elite ruling class,
Yeah,
which
it's
is part of the reason why they don't like what's going on with the current administration, because a lot of curtains are getting pulled back and a lot of wizards are being exposed.
yes, yes. And
The
again,
great and powerful Oz is not as great and powerful as he thought he was.
there's some things that the current administration is doing and shutting down that I disagree with, and there's other things that I'm like, well, it's about damn time.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
I mean,
just
they're not being as surgical as I would like, but I mean, at the same time, when
yeah.
you're cutting out a big cancerous tumor, you're probably going to lose a little flesh.
Ooh, that's rough. That was a rough statement. That is Primo Z. All
So
right,
you
so
can send that to markgetz@gmail.com.
all right, so let's get into some good news. But I wanted to first say first the good
I
news.
mean, it's good news, but it's heavy. It's heavy good
It's
news.
heavy. So let me say, firstly, it's about a huge pedophile network that was shut down by Europol. Now, this is going to bother some people with what we're going to say to some listeners. So if that's the case, just fast forward to the music. Then we'll get back on track after. But I felt this was something that we should say because it's a giant step. It's just disturbing the information that was
Hey,
recovered.
how about we do the FTC one real quick first? I know it's not in order, but get that one out of the way so that if somebody wants to hear that, then they can just skip this article right before the music.
Okay. So the FTC.
I mean, I'm just saying.
All right. So the FTC did say that they wanted to make it clear that whoever buys 23andMe is going to have to adhere to the proper laws of security.
Yeah.
So as I was chuckling typing this part of the show out, I'm just like, okay, so we said this before that you said you're going to make sure that it falls into good hands. Now the FTC is saying they're sure it's going to fall into the right hands. Now, isn't the FTC part of the whole government like cutbacks?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much all of government's under some kind of cutback right now. But
Right.
yeah,
They're
the
all
FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, they may actually not be around
right.
after it's all said and done.
So what exactly are they doing? Because I'm a little confused.
They're making a very strong statement
They're making a
that
strong
whoever
statement.
buys 23andMe better play by the rules.
Right. Uh
Which is crazy. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, 23andMe got hacked, right? That's one of the reasons why they're selling out. They're like, we can't, we can't fix this, blah blah blah.
yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I got nothing too. I mean,
what weight does the FTC's at this point? I would call it a strongly worded recommendation. Really, what weight does it really carry?
it doesn't, because they're under the gun, just like the IRS, the Department of Education, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the FBI, and the Department of Justice. They're all on the hook. You know,
Yeah.
they're all on the hook waiting. So the FTC is just, like you said, they're just pointing fingers at this point. It's just, I'm going to wag my finger and tell you, you better be careful. Because if you do that, it's a bad thing. So, all right, let's get back to the other story. So again, if you wanted to, if this sort of stuff about pedophile networks and stuff, if that bothers you, just fast forward to the music, like Freeman was saying, and then we'll catch you on the other side. But okay, a huge pedophile network was shut down by Europol, which is essentially Interpol. This is one of the biggest, the largest dark web pedophile networks in the world. Here's where it gets kind of disturbing, but again, it's gone. It's shut down. Are they going to find more? Yes, but this was huge. Operation Stream was what it was called. It was supported by more than 35 countries. 79 were arrested, with more to get arrested very soon. Just 79 right off the cuff. Now, how they were doing it was, and this is where it gets really kind of painful. In 2021, this network launched KidFlix, which allowed users to join for free to preview child sex abuse. You paid additional cryptocurrency to get higher resolution videos, which, by the way, cryptocurrency no longer perfectly safe for anonymity, because in this article, it clearly states that government or Europol has figured out a way to bypass that.
Yeah,
So
I told you that when we first started talking about the blockchain. The blockchain's a great idea, but the whole cryptocurrency thing, there's no way to remain anonymous long term. I get in its infancy when people weren't sure what it was, but it's just a matter of time before somebody figures out how to open the lock.
Yeah. So Europol seized the servers and found a total of 91,000 unique videos, some that the police said they didn't even know about. 1,400 known offenders have been identified already among the 1.8 million KidFlix users. 1.8 fucking million scumbags.
When I read that number, dude, that tore me up right there.
39 children were saved immediately off of this information in the arrest and stuff. They've seized more than 3,000 devices. The one that put me over the edge was that there was one 36-year-old German that was arrested and found out that he had uploaded content, and he even offered up his own son for games. They even found a developer that had made an app that was using and passing around, that was using AI to create images. The fact that they caught all these people and they're going to track down 1.8 million people that are on this service and put them all in jail, I hope. Just yeah, it's a deep breath moment. That's a lot.
1.8 times 3. That's 5.4 million bullets that need to be used.
I don't disagree.
Double tap to the chest, one to the head, and get rid of every last one. That's my opinion.
That's an unbelievable, astonishing number. The fact that, being naive, I've come across this in people's computers twice in my entire career and had to call the police for it. It's disturbing when that sort of thing happens. And you think it's just scumbags like secretly talking on some social media platform in code and trading something. But to find out that there's an entire infrastructure, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, not even trying to hide it. KidFlix.
Right. Just breaks my heart. All right, let's get into this week's music, and we will that's a tough one. All right, so this week's music is from The Doors, because again, Val Kilmer played in The Doors. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do we're going to do Break On Through. And we'll catch you on the other side for some stick style news.
You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side, yeah. We chased our pleasures here, dug our treasures there. But can you still recall the time we cried? Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. I found an island in your arms, country in your eyes. Arms are chainless, eyes are lined. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through, oh yeah! Made to see, week to week, day to day, hour to hour. Deep and wide, break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through, break on through, break on through, break on through.
Okay. Gotta love some Doors. And I could just imagine Val singing that, which is nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So, before we begin our stick style segment, we have a beer, and I have luckily got this last one left because I forgot to go to the store last night, which is, thank God, a Modelo and not something disgusting that you've had to drink in the past.
Like what?
Oh, what was that?
That White Claw?
Oh, yes, the White Claw.
That was brutal.
Well, I get the
I still
Modelo,
want to figure out who left that here so I can uninvite them in the future.
and you get your traditional, like, cheers to you, my friend.
And to Val.
Okay, let's get into this week's stick style.
Gaming.
First up in this week's stick style, we have some. What are you shaking your head about? Come on, give it a chance. Okay, so the monthly games came out, and of course, PlayStation doesn't give us all of them. They just give us a couple, three. So PlayStation Plus games for April is RoboCop Rogue City, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory. That's got to get out there and grab that one.
Yeah, when I first glanced, upon first glance, I was like, oh man, that's going to be like 5 or 6 games. Sony's stepping it up. And then I'm like, wait a minute. No, those are just all
The same title.
subtitles under.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I might try.
three games there.
I'll probably end up trying RoboCop, just because it's RoboCop.
That would be the only one I think I would try.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that most people frown upon my game playing. You know, like you told the story about me robbing the space bus.
You did. That was not cool. Like, at least you didn't blow them up.
Kids learned. Yeah, I was about to say they learned a valuable lesson that day.
Don't talk to strangers.
Secure your personal items on yourself. Don't put them in the locker.
All right, Game Pass for the month of April. A little bit better. Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition. If you haven't played Borderlands, I suggest you should, especially since it's free on Game Pass because it is a fun game, even though the movie sucked. All you need is help. really sounds like a game I should be playing.
See, the Borderlands movie,
Yeah.
I think would have been, and this is something you run into all the time when trying to transition from game to movie, or even movie and making a game about it, right?
Right.
Trying to get a gaming franchise out of it. Lots of times the translation just doesn't work, right? You don't have
Something's
like
missing.
the only way to really make the Borderlands movie a Borderlands movie, it would be so ultra violent, over the top,
Right.
right? So I think the movie itself was a good movie.
Yeah.
Right. I think the acting was good. I think the visuals were good, but it just didn't translate. They could have called it something else.
Yep.
Right. They could have used the Claptrap character. They would have had to make him look different. Obviously, you couldn't have made him look like Claptrap if you weren't going to call it Borderlands. But they could have had the robot character of some sort, and it would have been, I think you would have gotten a lot more people to watch it. It would have gotten, wider viewing, more appeal, whatever. But yeah, just when I heard they were making a Borderlands movie, I was like, that's going to be hard to translate.
I think that when it comes to those type of things, it's easier to make a game out of a movie as opposed to a movie out of a game. Because if you look at the sheer sign of perfection for that would be Chronicles of Riddick. The game Butcher Bay was just exactly the way it should be, had all the elements of the movie that you liked.
Yeah.
So Still Wakes the Deep is also...
But Claptrap did have some phenomenal lines in that movie.
Yeah.
He was if they nailed anything from the game, it was Claptrap.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wargroove 2, Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition, which sounds good. South of Midnight, Commandos Origina, Blueprints, and Hunt Showdown. So again, 4 times the amount of games.
Wakes the Deep.
Yeah. Also, Microsoft is celebrating their 50th anniversary. And there's a lot of interesting stuff. I didn't pull all of it, but there's like things about Bill Gates talking about, the pressure of making the first OS and all sorts of stuff. You can get some cool things though with the 50th anniversary.
Which pressure was there really? I mean, you basically just took Xerox's shit and ripped it off.
Yeah, but they had a scheduled time that had to come out, so that was the problem.
So it was like a time sensitive heist.
Correct. They had a deadline. So with the 50th anniversary, just like we've seen with all the Xbox anniversary shit, we don't get anything. It's really look, it's 50th anniversary. Good job. You can get some dynamic backgrounds. There's a wallpaper for your computer, which has the 50th anniversary logo. Solitaire.
I mean, they could do something. Like if you have a set of install disk.
Yeah. Like Windows 95.
From the original Windows.
Oh, okay.
All the way through, right? Like you've got 3.1, you've got Bob, you've got 95, 98 second edition, XP, Vista, 8. If you had that, send in a picture, authenticate or short video showing you have all of them.
Yeah.
And we'll give you a lifetime subscription to Windows.
That would be cool.
They could have come up with something.
Anything. You're a huge company, and I'm getting a solitaire game that's got...
I guarantee you there are people out there that could prove that, but it's not like it's going to break the bank.
Right. You're going to get the solitaire game's going to have cards that are at 50th anniversary. You do get a background for Xbox, which is kind of nice. It's got like a lot of the characters. It's got Marcus Phoenix. It's got Master Chief. That's nice. And you can get profile pictures on your Xbox featuring Clippy, which is always fun. I mean, who doesn't want Clippy on their desktop?
Oh, old Clippy.
Yeah, good old Clippy. And here we go with the announcement for this week. So, Switch 2 was finally announced. Now, we don't do much. I was just having a conversation with some listeners about how we don't talk about Nintendo because we don't have it. We've talked about it on the show before. Every once in a while, Nintendo does something good, but Nintendo's on their own and they're doing fine. They just they've always have done fine. They're just not for us.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years past puberty, kind of moved on.
That's there is quality games still on the Switch
I
platform.
mean,
It's
that's like Japanese anime. I don't watch it anymore.
okay. I get that too. I've had 2 Switches. Each one was taken by one of my children, and I never got back. Uh, so Switch 2 is coming out.
I got a Switch right there. See it?
Oh yeah, that's gonna hurt them.
Right there.
I don't want to know the history of that. The Switch 2 announcement came out.
Well, it goes back. It goes back to this little invention called the light bulb.
Officially out on June 5th. It's going to be $450 compared to the $300 that the original Switch was. Pre-orders are going to start on April 9th. And the only way to get a pre-order, and this is interesting, the only way to get a pre-order is to have a Nintendo Online
GameStop?
membership. Huh?
Through GameStop.
Yeah, you got to go through GameStop.
Good luck.
The only way you can get one is you have to be an online Nintendo member for at least a year, and you have to have at least 50 hours of gameplay under your belt to even do the pre-order, which I thought was kind of smart. That's going to take away a lot of the scalpers, hopefully.
Yeah.
But it's going to have 4K support once in the dock. The screen is now going to be an LCD panel instead of an OLED panel, and it's also going to be 8 inches. Displaying games is going to be at 1080p with 120 frames. The Joy-Cons are now magnetic, which was a great feature because it was I had to swap out a lot of those Joy-Cons for the stupid sliding mechanism. Now they're going to be magnetic, and they now offer a mouse control, which is definitely weird for a Joy-Con. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it is what it is. The right Joy-Con is going to have a C button, like the classic C button that was on, was it the GameCube? I think it was. This is going to work with their all new game chat system, which looks not polished, but it gets to the point. You pop in a game, join a game chat with your friends. Your friends' icons come in 4 boxes at the bottom of the screen, almost like you're doing a Zoom, a Zoom call. So it's very similar to the original Xbox black and white buttons when it comes to chat, where you can chat with people in that C button. It's going to have 256 gigabytes of internal storage, which I don't think is a whole lot. It's going to have micro SD expansion like they all do. As for accessories, so first you're going to have the Pro controller, which you expect for $80. There's also going to be a GameCube type controller that you're going to be able to get. And they're adding a camera for $50. They're adding a camera to the Switch dock. The Switch by Nintendo. That's essentially made for kids. Yeah, that camera should be fine. No problems there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Holy shit, Nintendo. Know your audience.
Unless that base and stem are like one solid piece, I don't see that thing holding up very long.
Oh, it's not even that. Well, they do. Somebody already made a plant, one of the plants from Mario Brothers, as the camera. So that's kind of cool. But my problem is, we just did a story earlier in the show that was kind of disturbing, and now you're going to put a camera on a game system.
I see where you're going now. I was just going thinking
Breaking it?
durability.
Oh yeah, it's good. No durability.
Of being around kids.
But I don't.
I see what you're saying. Oh, jeez.
Right.
Yeah.
Why are you going to do that's ridiculous. So Mario Kart World will be the big seller in that, maybe. Because the game alone is going to be $80. A lot of the games, most of the games are going to be around $70. Kind of crazy. The game will have traditional races in Mario Kart. They'll have traditional races, but it's also going to have an open world flavor to it, which I don't think is going to work. A good point is that GameCube games are also going to be available online now, so that's going to be exciting because GameCube, I thought, had just a great selection of games. Even some of the GameCube games are going to have an option for a CRT filter, which I've seen in, I can't remember what game it was, but there was a game that you could do that. Similar to what Halo allows you to do with old graphics, new graphics. This was going to give you a CRT flickering filter. Make you feel like you're at home again. Okay. The game share feature is also interesting. Some games will allow friends, and I think you talked about this before, I think with a different company, where the game share feature is going to allow you, well, some games will allow friends to play using just one copy of the game.
Yeah, one person can own it. Up to 5 people can play. That was
What was that?
it was a particular game. I'll have to go back to the show notes, but it was a game. As long as one person owned a copy,
Yeah,
then they
yeah.
could invite up to 5 friends to play with them.
This is definitely going to be like that. But the unfortunate news that Nintendo kind of alluded to, and again, this is why I don't know if Switch 2 is going to do well. Over 120 original Switch games already have compatibility issues. It's a whole different set of hardware, apparently. So they're already having, and one of the other things that which I can't believe Nintendo is not going away from, instead of the code.
I'm just sitting here scrolling through, and I just saw a game that would potentially cause me to buy a Nintendo Switch 2.
Oh, please enlighten me.
Big fan of the series back in the day.
Okay.
Metroid.
Yes. The new Metroid looks really good. Really good. I saw the video. The new Metroid looks really fun. So one of the things that us gamers, Nintendo was notorious for, but us gamers can't stand is when we go buy a game, physical copy of the game, and you get that piece of paper and it says, download it with this code. Like, I just paid for this. You got a box with a piece of paper in it.
Yeah.
Now, Nintendo's changed it up where it's now going to be a small card called a game key that you have to insert into your Switch 2 to allow access for you to download the game. That is not going to fly. Like,
I mean, I actually like that better than just getting a code that you have to go and da-da-da. You pop this in. It's like scanning a QR code, right? You scan it, and
Yeah.
then it takes you to wherever. So if you pop this in and it automatically downloads the game, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Like you don't have to go type something in and here's my key and blah blah blah. You just pop that thing in and boom, you got the game.
Let's hope that's the way it works. You don't have to go through like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just based on this. That's what it sounds like to me. It may not be that. I don't know. But
I'm telling you right now, if I spend the money on a Switch 2 and a game and get one of these games with a card in it, and I put that card in it, next thing you know, I'm sitting there going, "Oh, point to the crosswalks." I'm going to be pissed off.
I've already told you. All you've got to do is hit the visually impaired link when you get to those.
All right, that's it for games this week. Let's get into the last segment, which is kind of important, I feel, that we talk about. All right, so first of all, we're going to talk about legacy tech. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because yesterday, at the end of the day, I had 2 clients that came in. One had a phone issue, and he just didn't understand what I was talking about with IDs and usernames and passwords and credentials. Just didn't get it. Just wanted me to move information from one phone to the other. I'm like, it's not that simple. I need to log into certain things, and when on the new phone, you're going to need to log into your account. Well, what happens if I don't? You don't have all your pictures. We need to get them from the cloud. What cloud? Okay. Let's rewind that back.
That big one with the grayish bottom right over here looks kind of like a chihuahua. Not that one, but 2 over. That's the cloud where your stuff's in.
And then I had another lady, upper 80s. That was, bless her heart. She sat down, she pulled out her computer out of her bag, and it was 16 years old. 16 years old. She couldn't understand why she couldn't get things to work. Her Word now had a red bar on the top that said it's incompatible. Can't get to certain websites anymore. She wasn't angry about the speed, but it took her a clear 20 minutes to wrap around her head that she's going to have to get a new computer. I can't source a battery for this one. I have to get a new computer. You want Office, but that's going to be an additional fee. What do you mean it's an additional fee? Doesn't it come with Windows? No. It did 16 years ago.
anymore.
It does not now.
Yeah.
So
You can use the free online version.
I felt genuinely bad because she sat there stupefied for at least 7 minutes, just stupefied about what she was about to how she was processing this stuff. Legacy stuff is legacy. And if I hear one more time about planned obsolescence, I'm going to lose my shit because it's not. Is it planned? Sure. This phone is going to last about 5 years at our current rate of upgrades. But the bottom line is newer technologies, newer operating
I know why
systems.
you don't want to hear anything else about planned obsolescence.
It
It was
there's
invented by Apple.
oh stop. Sometimes the technology advances quicker than the hardware. It's just that simple. And then in other times, you have places and things that are stuck. I'll give you an example. There's a restaurant chain, a pizza restaurant chain that I worked for when I was very, very young. They were using Windows 95 on their computer terminals. And I once asked one of the franchisees, like, what's up with this? Why can't you just upgrade this? This thing runs dirt slow. He's like, no, we can't because the entire system of ordering and management and everything that's tied in there was done to, and this is the first time I ever experienced this, was done by a developer that's no longer in business. Okay, the developer's no longer in business. We'll find another developer. No, you can't. The entire chain uses this system. You can't patch it. You can't fix it. You can't do anything but replace it and have one or two engineers that know what they're doing to kind of put a Band-Aid on it temporarily. That is a normal practice. That happens to businesses all the time. All the time. There's always some piece of software that when you upgrade significantly enough that the software doesn't work anymore, you turn around and you go, hey, let's contact this developer. And you get an email that's kicked back because the company's not existent anymore. They got their money. They left.
Yeah, I'm
There's no
going
more
through that
support.
right now
Yeah. There's no more support for it.
with Windows migrating everything from Windows 10 to 11.
Mm-hmm. C-Suite.
Um,
Good. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say C-Suite doesn't care. None of the people in these companies C-Suite care or give a damn that the software is antiquated. They just don't. They just want to keep trucking along. Is it working? All right, fine. Well, we don't need to worry about it because it's still working. But then you get to this point. And the example I'm giving this week also is the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, run by Elon, is looking into old systems around the government. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. The first one he looked at was the Social Security Administration system, which is a COBOL language, 60 million lines of code, and it's over 40 years old. Who the fuck even teaches that shit anymore in school? Who's teaching COBOL?
Raise your hand if you can read COBOL.
You can't? You
Yeah.
dirty son of a bitch. Elon,
Fortran. I could still work my way around Fortran.
look at you.
COBOL.
So
Assembly.
So good, since you know these words.
Oh, trust me. I've already sent him an email and told him I'm on board. Let's get this done.
Oh, here we go.
I need you to pay me $1 per line of code that I upgrade.
Oh, that'd be interesting. That would be interesting. So Elon thinks that it can be converted to a modern language in months. I
will have to go to a country where cocaine is legal, but then I will be a multimillionaire.
But since you know the programming languages, do you think that something like COBOL on the Social Security Administration can be moved to a modern language within months? That's a reach right there.
Okay. In theory, yes, it could be done. From a practicality standpoint, no, you could not upgrade and completely transition in a couple of months. Could you get the code upgraded? Yes, but there would be testing, and you would have to run them concurrently side by side, and then you could transition.
Yeah, because this is the Social Security Administration. Like this
isn't Joe Bob's Game Shop that's upgrading from 95 to
Windows 11.
11.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there's a little more to this. Now, like I said, could the code be converted in that time frame? Yes. Could you effectively be running on the new code in that time frame? I don't think it's possible.
I don't think so.
I hope he proves me wrong.
The IRS has been trying to do this for decades, and they were not successful. Social Security Administration has been tried. They tried this once before in 2017, and it failed miserably. And they
Yeah.
expected it at that time to take 5 years to do. And then you have the flight management system of the FAA, another just must-have system. That's
Ain't none of it gonna matter.
why.
Society is collapsing.
Oh,
5 years from
stop.
now, we may not even be able to do a podcast.
From the
We,
bunker.
we may be sending messages back and forth by carrier pigeon. It'll take us 7.5 years to play a game of chess.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the bunker in Tennessee. Oh, checkers. Okay.
But
so-
no, okay, here's the thing. I think he believes it's possible, but I also think that because he's obviously a big dreamer, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Tesla, SpaceX, all of this stuff,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
Have you ever seen the interview with him where he was trying to get SpaceX up and running and they ran into some issue in the design phase of the rocket boosters?
Okay.
And they're like, well, the only people that can help us solve this work for NASA, and they're not going to come work for us. So he went and learned rocket science, like literally went and learned rocket science and figured this out.
Elon. Okay.
He spent months immersing himself in it and figured it out. And then once that happened, people started taking him serious, and they're like, "Ooh, wait a minute, this has a chance."
Yeah.
And then he was able to bring in some talent. So I think he firmly believes that this can be done, but I also think that he's rational enough that when he hits the brick walls, he'll be like, okay.
See, my first thought was that, okay, he's out of control again. He doesn't understand the programming languages. The FAA has been trying to fix the flight management system. The IRS has been trying to fix theirs. He's just
here's the
wait a minute,
thing.
hold on.
Here's
Let
the
me
thing.
finish. I thought at first, like, okay, he's just grasping at straws. He has no idea. He's saying months. It's not going to take months or anything. But then I started thinking about what Steve Jobs used to do. Steve Jobs would do that same thing. Like, he gave you a deadline. That was your deadline. That shit better come correct by that deadline, or you better have a phenomenal reason why it's not. So I kind of like that path. It's just I wish he was a little less crazy.
Well, I mean, the guy lives in a K-hole.
Oh my gosh, yes he does. So I just think so all in all, to wrap
Which
up
is another reason why I'll never attain his level of whatever he's thinking, because that ain't for me.
So again, to wrap this up, legacy software, legacy hardware, there is really nothing that's planned obsolescence. They plan it to become obsolete sometime. I've had iPads in front of me that were first and second generations that ran fine, just couldn't hold the battery charge anymore. Sorry, they're just not making that battery anymore. Should they be? I don't know. Maybe there's a company somewhere that's selling that battery. No different than, the lady's laptop that I couldn't get any parts for easily.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, as technology, I mean, okay. I don't know how far back in time you go, but at one point, people didn't have locks on doors, right?
Right.
You had a latch to keep the door from swinging freely,
Right.
but the latch could, you pull a string on the outside and it opens the latch that's
Right.
on the inside, and you
Right.
walk in, right?
Yeah.
Well, at some point, somebody said, "Well, some of my stuff's gone missing. I don't know what's going on with that." So they invent something that they can't be opened from the outside. Once it's latched from the inside, you can't open it from the outside. Fast forward, now we have, freaking thumbprint readers on deadbolts and da 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 da. And guess what? Eventually that's going to be obsolete. It's not. Is there planned obsolescence in certain industries, certain companies? Yes, I think that they do that. But obsolescence just happens simply because we keep progressing, period.
Right. It's something that happens. I'm sorry that Your devices worked great.
Could you take a steamship across the Atlantic now? You know, an old Queen Mary Titanic type steamship across the Atlantic? If you wanted to, sure. But if it breaks down, chances of you getting it fixed while you're out there are going to be slim to none, because guess what? We don't build steamboats anymore.
Right. We need a specialist. And a lot of times, you know, it's no different than your car. You can keep your car. My grandfather had a car that he kept tip-top shape, Honda Integra, I think it was. Honda Acura. Or was it Acura Integra? That he kept in mint shape. Mint shape. Dealership only. The Infinity that I bought not too long ago, that was a 10, 15-year-old car, maintained by the dealer. Every paper. I had a stack of paperwork from the dealer with every single maintenance that was done on that car. Did the car still run? Yes. Was it antiquated? Couldn't connect my phone to it. You know, there was certain things on it that just were getting tired. You know, certain parts of the car that were just, my CD changer in the trunk didn't work anymore because the wires were so frail that they broke off. I mean, there's
Did it
just
have a tape deck?
No, it did not.
Because if it had a tape deck, you could buy the tape deck adapter that plugs into a 3.5 millimeter jack, which then converts to a USB-C.
Correct.
And hook your phone to it.
That should have no audio loss at all.
Yeah, none.
Just so clear as day.
Still hear your music.
All right. Do you have anything else this week?
I just want to say I'm as hard as it was to read that one article. I'm very, very encouraged by the fact that happened, and I hope that they are able to continue doing that. And I hope that it can be eradicated.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I also hope that that type of momentum can spread into the larger issue of trafficking.
Agreed. We just had a police officer get arrested up here in the Northeast for trafficking children. Like, you got to be kidding me.
I mean, a lot of people think I'm barbaric, and I'm okay with that. I think we should bring back public hangings on the courthouse steps, man.
Wow, that's drastic.
You get caught doing something like that, you don't sit in jail for 10, 15, 20 years. Guilty verdicts proclaimed, you walk outside, drop.
Okay. All right. So
you see that, you're going to think twice.
Okay. All right, that's it for this week. Hands down, show's over.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.